It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here. That's what you've earned here tonight.
Forget about the crowd. It's the size of the school. Their fancy uniforms. And remember what got you here. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing.
It's down to the wire with Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
Oh, Petey! Oh, Petey!
On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday and Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. You can call us at 631-965-4990. Remember, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. And you can download our app by going to iOS. You go to WWSRN, or you can go to our Android and go to the Play Store and go to Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We have a great show lined up for you guys today, even though it's only going to be an hour show today. We had some technical difficulties. We have a special guest here today. As you guys know, you know him as Mark. He was part of the Morning Boys with Ryan Hickey, but we have him in studios today. So what's going on, Mark? How are you?
Hey, guys. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me here. I guess what was an error makes up with me being here, so I get rewarded for something going wrong.
Well, I don't know about rewarded for something going wrong, but we have a great, great show lined up for you guys today. We want to get into the whole Jamal Adams situation. Me and Eric displayed our interest and arguments to the whole Jamal Adams trade. We will talk about Tom Thibodeau and kind of our thoughts with Tom Thibodeau. I would like to hear Mark's thoughts with Tom Thibodeau. I'd like to know Speedy's thoughts on Mark Thibodeau. I'm sorry, Tom Thibodeau. I called him Mark Thibodeau. And we're going to get into the whole baseball situation with the New York Yankees. We have a hot New York Yankee hitting the ball, and Aaron Judge. We'll get into that a little bit later. We have an hour to get into it, so we're not even going to go into what happened all over the weekend and the world, and obviously the weekend crunch. So why don't we get into the whole Jamal Adams situation? And I said it very, very easy and straightforward on the weekend crunch this weekend with Eric Coleman. And I said that Jamal Adams has been an absolute baby since he's come to the New York Jets organization. The Jets gave him the opportunity in the 6th pick of the first round a couple of years ago, about 3.5 years ago, and took Jamal Adams. There were a bunch of teams that passed over on him. I don't know why they passed on him. I thought he was the best player in the draft, maybe the second or third best player in the draft. It was very surprising that the New York Jets passed on him. But not only that, when you look at the Jets organization as a whole, you look at the ingredients of non-success. The New York Jets have not been a successful organization for a very, very long time. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 1969. The ownership went, not only when you talk about the ownership going back and forth with new owner after new owner after new owner, the Johnson family took over the Jets organization in the early 2000s. And this has been a complete shamble of an organization since they've taken over. Rex Ryan took over for Eric Mangini. He had 2 successful years, and then everything started falling apart and tearing apart from the team that Eric Mangini built. Then you look at the team as a whole right now, and you go up and down the rosters. Where are their superstars? You look at their quarterback. Is Sam Darnold a superstar? We don't even know if he can stay in for a full season. He hasn't had a full season since USC. He has not played a full season. He had a leg injury his first year. Then he had mono his second year. This is a kid that's played very well in the second half, but up and down really for the New York Jets. And you bring in C.J. Mosley. Now C.J. Mosley has opted out of the season because of COVID-19. So this will be a second year that the Jets lost C.J. Mosley for a whole season.
He did. Gee whiz.
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No, I did not hear about that.
Well, he opted out of the contract. So that's just another problem the New York Jets have. But all in all, when you look at this organization, and I can argue where the Jets are or what the Jets are as an organization, where Joe Douglas is in the draft. We don't know what this draft is going to put on, give the Jets that opportunity to be a good team. We don't know what Mekhi Beckham is going to be. We don't know what Mims is going to be. We don't know what Ashton Davis is going to be. We don't know what any of their top draft picks are going to be. And that's what usually happens when you go into the draft. You kind of nitpick and you try to get the best player available on your draft board. But this is an organization that's had crazy people in their locker room. Let's go up and down their roster. Geno Smith, a couple of years ago, gets knocked out by their linebacker and gets his jaw broken, and he was out for practically the whole season. And then that gave Fitzpatrick an opportunity to really completely explode with Brendan Marshall and Eric Decker, and they had both of those guys, some of their best years as a player in the NFL. And they still didn't make the playoffs that year. You look at this team as a whole, and I know a lot of people are going to look at the Jets, and I'm a Jet fan, and I'm an honest Jet fan. Is this team ever going to win? That is going to be the question. We talk about the Browns. We talk about the Miami Dolphins. We talk about all the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals. How many times have they gone into the playoffs, and how many times they've lost in the first round with Andy Dalton and that bag of idiots, okay? But all in all, you look at the Jets as an organization, you have a player like Jamal Adams who wanted to bring in Le'Veon Bell, begged practically Le'Veon Bell to come to the team and telling him that we want to win a championship together. We want to win multiple championships together. And he practically dragged Le'Veon Bell to the New York Jets organization. And the Jets gave him $13 million a year, worth about $50 million. But then you get in the last year and a half, 2 years, Jamal Adams taking shots at the Jets organization, how poorly they run. Joe Douglas to Mike Maccagnan. Mike Maccagnan was fired. Then you have Joe Douglas running the organization. Then you bring in guys like Chris Johnson, who took over for Woody because Woody wanted to go over there to England to be whatever he wanted to be for Donald Trump. The racist remarks, the utter just absolute ridiculousness from this organization the last couple of years. And then you have Jamal Adams taking shots at the Jets organization that they're a complete mockery and a joke. Meanwhile, this is one of the players and one of the players that wanted Adam Gase there. And then all of a sudden, really a couple of weeks ago, saying that Adam Gase is not the guy. He's a complete waste. He's a joke. Meanwhile, when they brought him to the team and brought him to the organization, he loved this signing. He loved Adam Gase. And then all of a sudden, taking shots at the organization, telling them, the organization, that they're a bag of dummies. They're idiots. They're a joke. And now all of a sudden, after getting traded to Seattle, He speaks for the Jets fans, and he gives the Jets fans that whole whatever you want to call it.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Thank you.
The nice attitude, saying I love the fans, I love the Jets fans. Thank you for bringing me in as one of your own. Pretty much walking out of the New York Jets organization and the New York Jet fan. Now we sit back and we look at the trade, and maybe Eric Coleman, he liked the trade. I was very surprised he liked the trade, but he liked the trade. But he spoke very highly of Jamal Adams, not taking shots at Jamal Adams, that he walked out of the Jets organization and he wanted $90 million and he thinks he should be the highest paid safety in the league. Meanwhile, he's still under his rookie contract.
He has a chance to continue to be that in Seattle, too.
It's a joke. He's not going to be anything in Seattle.
Seattle does have a rich history of safeties over the years it's been one of their positions of priority, so he can definitely continue to grow. But yeah, the Jets definitely fleeced him for sure. 2 first-round picks for, like you and I have both said on the Weekend Crunch, a position that's not really a high-priority position was able to spawn 2 first-round picks.
Spawn 2 first-round draft picks, a third-round pick, and Bradley McDougald, who is a good safety. Not a great safety, a good safety. But all in all, it wasn't what the Jets got out of the trade. It was what they got from Jamal Adams after the trade. That's what you have to look at in the big picture. As a fan, as a football fan, when you play for an organization that took a chance for you, they took a chance with you. 6 teams passed up on you. Actually, 5 teams passed up on you. And the Jets took a chance with you, and you become... you love the spotlight, you love the press, just like Odell Beckham did. And then all of a sudden, when You got what you wanted. You kept giving. You told the Jets organization as a whole, you don't want to be traded. You just want that contract. You deserve that contract. You've had 2 years of a Pro Bowl, career. Yeah, and really, the first year you can complaining that you should have been a Pro Bowl player when you weren't. You became a Pro Bowl player your second year, and then you became an All-Pro Pro Bowl player your third year. So 3 years for the New York Jets. By the way, they never sniffed a playoff. They never sniffed a playoff berth. And you're talking about Jamal Adams, the greatest safety. He wants to become the greatest safety of all time. Let me tell you something. Until you get into the playoffs and you you're not Ed Reed. You're not even close. You're not Troy Polamalu. Hey, you're not, I wouldn't even say you're Earl Thomas, okay? And Earl Thomas took his team, Seattle Seahawks, to a Super Bowl, helped them win a Super Bowl, okay? Let's see what Jamal Adams does with that Seattle Seahawks team, because to me, that Seattle Seahawks team is not very good defensively. They have no pass rusher, and their Legion of Boom or the Legion of Goom, and I call them the Legion of Goom, because that's what they are. You have Jamal Adams leading the way, and who else do you have over there that really scares you for an organization on that defense? So all in all, when you look at the Jets and you look at what they got for that trade, to me, not only did they fleece him, they got rid of a cancer, a guy that didn't really respect the organization as a whole, and really threw the organization under the bus after the fact when he wanted to speak to the press. And I will guarantee you fans, and I will tell Eric over and over again, 2, 3, 4 years down the road, when he gets his contract and he's laughing to the bank, Seattle is going to regret making that trade for Jamal Adams, and Jamal Adams will regret leaving the New York Jets organization when you have Joe Douglas, who knows what he's doing, that's rebuilding this team from the top to the bottom, and he had the opportunity to stay there and help rebuild this team to win a championship. It will be more interesting or more great to win a Super Bowl for the New York Jets than winning a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, when the Seattle won a couple of years ago, 7, 8 years ago, and the Jets haven't won for 50 years. All right, we have a first call of the day. You know him from Weapons Hot, the host of Weapons Hot, CJ DeSimone. What's up, CJ?
What's going on, guys?
I'm good, man. What would you like to talk about?
You guys stopped me right in the middle of my workout when I was hearing you go on your little rant about the New York Jets. And look, Errol, I got to say, I love you to death, but half of your stuff is incorrect.
Go ahead. Why is it incorrect? Why is it incorrect? Go ahead.
Okay. The New York Jets organization as a whole has been a complete dumpster fire. No doubt. You are 100% correct. Okay? We've had bad general managers like John Idzik, Mike McCagnon, Terry Bradway. The list goes on and on. Okay? But you know what? We finally have a front office now that knows exactly what they're doing. So it took us a long time for, unfortunately, this franchise to perform the whole rectal cranial inversion, okay, PC version for the family audience out there, okay. The main thing that Jet fans need to make sure that they are keeping focus on is the young players that we now have on this squad right now and how they're going to be developed. Now, here is where I'm going to call you out a little bit on your little. I completely agree with you. Jamal Adams is a baby. He acted like a baby. Okay, you want to know something? All of his garbage that he spewed on social media was all false. Everything that he did was to get himself out of New York. He did not have a problem with Adam Gase. He did not have a problem with Joe Douglas. He wanted to get paid, and the reason being is because I think, now this is just my personal opinion, that the outside people, mainly his father, Mr. George Adams, who we remember, was drafted by the New York Giants in the mid-'80s, I believe, and turned out to be a scrub. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I can almost, on a stack of Bibles, guarantee you that Jamal Adams has his dad in his ear saying, you got to get your money, you got to get your money, you got to get your money. Okay? If Jamal Adams wanted out of the New York Jets organization that bad, he could have made a stink about it last year.
He did.
Okay? He probably could have even made a stink about it the following
CJ,
the past offseason.
CJ, he did make a stink about it last year. He said it in the middle of the season. Not only did he say something in the middle of the season, after one of the games, I think it was week 6 or week 7, when he was speaking about how bad the team played, and he never said anything how bad he played. He just took shots at the team, saying that,
Right.
I'm not going to mention any players. But we played like crap. We played like crap. I feel that I put
But
my
it was
heart out on
okay.
them.
It was okay for him to go 4-12 and 5-11 on the Todd Bowles.
Hey,
It was okay for him to be misused and mismanaged under Casey Rogers.
let me ask you.
Meanwhile, Greg Williams put the player in a situation to succeed. And mind you, okay, and now we're going to go back to his rookie season. Marcus May was a better player than Jamal Adams.
No question.
If Marcus May didn't get hurt in his rookie year, Marcus May goes to the Pro Bowl.
No question.
In his rookie season.
And Marcus May is going to get a nice contract from the New York Jets at the end of this season. They're not going to have to pay him $90 million. They'll pay him $45-50. If the guy could stay on the field, I guarantee you'll have more of success. We'll talk about Marcus May maybe 2-3 years down the road being a better player than Jamal Adams. Because to me, as good as Jamal Adams is on paper, when you look at his statistics, go look at the teams that they beat and look at the games that he won with, where the games that he beat them and he had all those interceptions were against teams that were terrible.
Half of his sacks came against the Giants.
Overrated teams. Okay?
Right.
Not good teams. So Jamal Adams sits there and he tells the Jets, "Oh, I'm the leader of the team." We've heard this for the last 3 years. I'm the leader of the defense. So you walked out on the defense. You completely turned your back on the New York Jets and the defense. And you walked out on Le'Veon Bell, the same guy that you told the player last year when in free agency, "I want you to come here and win championships with me. I'm here for the long haul." And then all of a sudden, a year later, you demand a trade and you want to go to the Cowboys. We've heard this, CJ, for a long, long time. He wants to go play for the Cowboys. We've heard it over and over again. So you know what? The Jets.
Right. And I can guarantee you, at the end of this season, if the Seahawks don't advance deep in the playoffs, if there is a 2020 season, okay, if they don't advance deep in the playoffs, I can guarantee you Jamal's going to start flapping his gums again, and then Seattle's going to look to dump him off to get back one of the 2 first rounders they gave the Jets for him.
Send him to Cleveland.
Okay.
Him and Odell could go rot together.
That's right. I mean, Odell Beckham is a joke. Odell Beckham is a joke. He used the press to really get traded. That's what he did. He used the press. He used his platform here in New York to get traded over there to Cleveland. And then you saw Jamal Adams. He wanted to get traded. He didn't go to the Cowboys. He didn't go where he wanted to go. We all know where Odell Beckham wanted to go. He wanted to go to the LA Rams. And he didn't get traded there. The Giants obliged him, and they traded him to the Browns because they got as much as they can for him. Jamal Adams got the same thing. He got traded to a team that he didn't want to go to, but he went there anyways. And now all of a sudden he cried. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear? I mean, I read a story that he said when he heard that he got traded to the Seattle Seahawks, he cried in happiness and joy. Are you kidding me? Yep. And then you apologize to the New York Jet fan and saying that I love being a New York Jet and thank you for being.
No, he's
a joke. He's a joke.
He's been spitting in the face of New York Jet fans since the garbage where Joe Douglas took phone calls and he felt like that he was untouchable, like Tom Brady is untouchable. Meanwhile, there's no comparison whatsoever. So he should never mention himself in the same word as Tom Brady. And I hate Tom Brady. Okay? He should never mention himself in that company at all. Okay? So now, the bottom line is that Jamal Adams is a fraud. He's gone. The Jets got a haul for him. It's time for us to stop beating this subject to death and just move on. We're not really going to know who wins and who loses from this team or from this trade for at least 2 to 3 years.
I already know. CJ, we already know who's going to win this trade. We already know, and I'm guaranteeing it. The Jets are not only going to win this trade, they're going to fleece the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to be talking about this trade, Joe Douglas. This is going to change. This is going to put Joe Douglas on a pedestal as one of the best GMs in the league. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. This trade is going to put him right up there.
I'm right there with you in my belief in Joe Douglas. But you know what? It's still early. And you know what? We all thought the same thing of Mike McCagnon in his rookie year when the Jets went 10-6. and he won Executive of the Year, and then all of a sudden the wheels fell off the wagon for the next 4 years after that.
He was Executive of the Year, and not because of his trades or none of his moves. He won Executive of the Year because he took over a team that Rex Ryan and Mike Tannenbaum built, and then 1 year of John Isnick, who actually pulled in draft picks, and then he completely. Who did he draft? Milliner? Who did he draft?
He didn't draft D. Milliner.
I'm sorry, whatever.
He drafted the kid from Rutgers.
I'm sorry, Calvin Pryor. Yeah. Okay, that's who he drafted.
Devin
Smith.
Smith.
Devin Smith, the great.
Devin Smith.
Yes,
Devin Smith was great.
Oh yeah, every single player that he drafted was the only person that he drafted that was decent was Quincy Enunwa. Okay, everybody else garbage. Absolute garbage. And you go up and down McCagnon. Right. He brought Sam Darnold in, absolutely. But who wouldn't have drafted Sam Darnold? Me and you would have drafted Sam Darnold if he was sitting there at 3.
Here's the thing, too, and I'm glad you brought up Sam Darnold because this is the other thing that I want to point out. Okay? Sam Darnold, going into his third year, he should not be judged on his first 2 years. Yes, you want to say, oh, well, he had the ankle injury in his rookie season, and then he started coming back on. Okay, and then last year he gets mono, maybe his fault, maybe not his fault, and then he comes back and he's getting there, and then really starts to finish strong as they start heading down the stretch. There's not enough of Sam Darnold to portray whether or not he's a bust or he's not, and also he's played behind the NFL-ranked 31st and 32nd offensive lines in the NFL, which is second worst and worst in the NFL. There's nobody who could be productive behind that. But Sam Darnold found a way to be productive because last year's numbers were better than the year before. So why is everybody all of a sudden getting this wild hair that, oh, well, the Jets should finish 1-15 so we could go after Trevor Lawrence? What are you watching? What are you basing this on? Okay, it's not as if that the New York Jets have the 6th-ranked or 7th-ranked offensive line in the league, and we're turning it over to a kid who doesn't know how to use it. This kid is basically running for his life on every freaking play. So we're ready to throw him to the curb. Then what was Mark Sanchez's excuse? Mark Sanchez, when he walked into this league, had the number 1 rushing attack and also the number 1 ranked offensive line in the NFL. Come on, guys. I mean, seriously, what are you basing Sam Darnold being a bust on?
I don't understand why people say Sam Darnold's a bust. We don't know what he is yet, but Sam Darnold now has an offensive line that was reconstructed this offseason. If there is a season, you have the oldest player on that offensive line is 28 years old. So you just got rid of Brian Winters the other day, so no more Brian Winters. You saved $7.8 million. I told Eric Coleman that was going to happen. I said that they were going to drop Brian Winters as soon as they reconstructed that offensive line. They wanted to save $8 or $9 million because they're going to take that money and they're going to throw it into a Marcus May. They're going to throw it into one of their free agent players in the offseason next year. But not even that. What bothers me about Jamal Adams, and I know you're going to say, well, I'm wrong about this and I'm wrong about this is my opinion. Jamal Adams has been an absolute joke since he's come to this team. He speaks. I met Jamal Adams twice at events. Twice. Nice guy. Took pictures with him. The problem with him, it's always me. It was never team. You're talking about a leadership. You want to talk about a leader. If you're a leader of a team, you're a leader of a defense. Have you ever heard C.J. Mosley when he was running, he was the lead guy for the Baltimore Ravens, calling the plays at the line of scrimmage? Have you ever heard C.J. Mosley say, this is all about me, it's all about this, it's all about that? He never said that. Never said that. Even when he had that unbelievable first game as a New York Jet and was out for the whole season last year. Out for the whole season. Came back and he was out. And all the Jet fans, you could be mad at Jamal. You could be mad at C.J. Mosley for taking a step back and opting out of this year. And I understand it. He doesn't want to get his family sick. He's got a lot of kids. You don't blame him. So you can't take a shot at him because he's trying to protect him and his family. But again, there might not be a season.
Right. This year is going to be a wash, I think. People are talking about whether they should go after Clowney. I don't think they should do any of that. Give Douglas another draft, give him another off season. And I think one advantage that he's going to have, CJ, is that there are going to be some people sleeping on these college prospects because you don't know what kind of a college season you're going to have. And I think that's perfectly geared for Douglas because he is a guy that just sits in his basement and watches film. So and here's the thing about Darno. You go back his last 17 starts, he has thrown for just under 4,000 yards, 3,995 yards, 25 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and a 62.3 passing completion percentage with a offensive line where he looks like he doesn't know what blocking assignment is going to pick up their blocking assignment each time he drops. He was
hit third most in the NFL last year, third most, and he didn't even play.
Yeah.
He missed 5 games. He missed 5 games.
And I think people that are asking, oh, should they go after Clowney? Ever since he was at South Carolina, Clowney chooses to take off specific plays. He's not consistent. South Carolina never won the East when he was there, despite having Alshon Jeffrey and a running back that was very good before he got hurt.
Marcus Lattimore.
Yeah, Marcus Lattimore. So I would stay away from him. Ngakoue is a guy that I would go after in the offseason next year so I don't have to take the salary cap this year.
And they don't have to trade away any of their draft picks.
Right, and keep building with the draft. If you give this guy another draft with a pick this year, pick next year, you don't know who he's going to
He's got 2 first-round. He's got 2 first-round draft picks. He's got 2 first-round draft picks coming up in 2021. So, he has possibly a conditional pick. He might have 2 second rounds, 2 third rounds, a 4th, 2 5ths, 2 6ths, and 2 7ths.
They still need
this
depth.
coming year.
They still need depth. That's the biggest thing you have in the NFL that consistent winners have is depth. So when guys get hurt, they fill in the other guys. The Patriots do it. The Steelers do it. Now the Chiefs do it. You look at all the good teams that have been consistent over the last 10 years. They draft well in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rounds. And if one guy goes out, there's another guy that steps up, and you don't even notice the difference. Here's another thing. You know what's funny? Is they released the top 100 players in the NFL. Of course, there's no Jets on it now. But do you know who is on it? Demario Davis, a guy that was, 2nd, 3rd round pick and was kind of an afterthought, kind of like a James Farrior. These guys who leave the Jets and then become superstars, that's going to end now. And I think you have Douglas to thank for it.
Well, Douglas is not, and CJ, you know this very, very well, just as much as I know it, and any Jet fan knows it. Joe Douglas is not going to overpay a player. He comes from the Baltimore Ravens.
No, he's not.
He comes for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's not going to overpay. You saw what he did with the offensive lineman. He brought in McGovern. McGovern got $33 million, $26 million guaranteed. And this is one of the best centers in the league. One of the top 6, 7 centers in all of football.
And a versatile guy that could also play guard, too.
And yes, and you brought in George Font, who was the best offensive lineman for the Seattle Seahawks last year. And now, what are they going to have to protect Russell Wilson? Everybody keeps talking about Seattle. Look how good they are. I yelled at Mikey C, and I went back and forth at Mikey C on the phone a couple of days ago. He's telling me Jamal Adams is going to secure them as a big-time playoff team. Where is he going to secure them? They have no pass rusher. They have 2 very good linebackers. Their front 7 is not good like it was when their Super Bowl years. Their Legion of Boom is the Legion of Goom now. So they're garbage. I'm telling you right now, they're not making the playoffs. Not in that division. No way in hell they're making the playoffs in that division with a San Francisco team that absolutely got better in the draft. You talk about the Tampa Bay
Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who added Tom Brady and Gronkowski, which is they're going to have more of an explosive team. They're going to give a lot of problems offensively and defensively to other teams. They had one of the best defenses in the league last year too, under Todd Bowles. So you look at the teams in that division. Where are they going to have an easy game?
And in their division, too. Arizona got a lot better,
Arizona,
too.
I forgot about that. DeAndre Hopkins. I mean...
Great draft.
They had a great draft. I mean, where are they going? Where do they think that they're just going to squeak right in and make a playoff run with Jamal Adams? Is Jamal Adams that good? He's going to take that whole defense to a Super Bowl? He couldn't do that with the Jets!
He couldn't take them to a winning season.
Right, exactly. So, and how many playoff games has Jamal Adams won for us?
None. Zero. How many games have we gone to the playoffs with them? Zero. I mean, seriously, this is a guy that is overrated.
Hey, CJ, I would take Darrell Ray. I would take Eric McMillan. Those guys I would take in a second over Jamal Adams.
And I'm not saying Jamal Adams is a bad player. And anybody that thinks that I'm sitting here and saying that, I was never a Jamal Adams fan. Okay? Mikey C took shots at him. I stuck up for Jamal Adams. He said Jamal Adams is not one of the top 3 safeties in the league. I think that's absolute crock. Right. He is, because there's not many good safeties in the league. So if you want to compare him to the corners, he's not even close. But I look at Jamal Adams. He's an experienced player. He's been in the league for 3 years. He thinks he can go to a Super Bowl contender if he thinks they're a Super Bowl. The Jets have a better chance right now in the division that they're in to make the playoffs than Seattle does. That's the crazy thing. They have a better chance to make the playoffs than Seattle does.
And Seattle, we've seen them over the years bring in stars, and sometimes they don't even work there in terms of helping out their team. Yeah. And sometimes that doesn't make an effect. Seattle wins weird. Seattle wins at home. They'll be competitive, but you're right. I don't think it makes a drastic difference.
Win at home. There's no crowd. There's no fans. There's no 12th man. Now, where are they going to have an advantage this season?
No. And look at, we were talking about Arizona. Arizona wins in Seattle, I think, 3 of the last 4 years, too.
Yeah. So you know what you do? You know what you do, CJ? Here's what we'll do. We'll give him $90 million for him to 2-3 years opt out of his contract and go somewhere else. Go to the Browns, go to the Cowboys, and lose with them too. He's never going to win. He's not a winning player. He's never going to win.
Especially if he goes to the Browns.
He's never going to win.
You know what else?
He's a money player.
You know what else?
Odell Beckham.
That's kind of happened that quietly hasn't gotten any attention is how many players on the Patriots have decided to opt out. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that this season. So I'm not even sure what kind of season it's going to be. So I don't think you don't push your chips into the table on this year. Wait it out, and then next year you have that much more to build from.
Well, there you go.
So you're like shake off the fluke year kind of thing?
Yep.
CJ, what do you have to say before we let you go, my friend?
You know what? I actually kind of like the way Mark is viewing it. I mean, if I'm Joe Douglas and Adam Gase, I mean, granted, this year there's memorandums put out where they think that Adam Gase may not be the head coach at the end of this year.
Probably not.
And you know what? I think that there's a possibility that if this team underperforms, regardless of who's out there, while Adam Gase is pulling the trigger, I really think that it doesn't matter that Adam Gase helped Joe Douglas get the GM job. Right. I think that Joe Douglas, the whole reason why Joe Douglas got this contract was because of the fact that he negotiated that probably he maybe has a little bit of secretive power where, look, if it push comes to shove, between Joe Douglas and Adam Gase, who are you getting rid of? Yep. You're getting rid of Gase before you get rid of Douglas. Douglas brings 3 Super Bowl rings to the table. Yeah. What does Gase bring? Gase brings nothing. He brings Peyton Manning's jockstrap to the table.
He could bring wipies.
That's not going to win the game.
He could bring wipies to wipe his ass. I mean, that's about it.
He brings a psychotic look that looks like he's going to murder you when he walks through the door. That's what he brings.
Listen, I'm going to stick up for Adam Gase. If you look at the teams he's ever coached, he's never coached good teams, and he's never had a starting quarterback for a full season. Say whatever you want. If you think Tannehill is a starting quarterback in this league, I don't know what you guys are watching. I don't want to hear about the Tennessee and what he did with Tennessee. Anybody could throw 72 yards and take a team all the way to an AFC title game if they have a running back like Derrick Henry. So. Again, you can argue your points on whatever. Tannehill was not a starting quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback in this league. And I look at the big picture right now. Let's see what Adam Gase has and see what Adam Gase does with a good team around him. Maybe he wins. Maybe he is a good coach if he has good players around him. Let's see that. I have not seen that. Until we see that, we can't argue the point that Adam Gase is not a good coach.
I think it's a chicken and the egg thing. I mean, are they a bad team because he's the coach, or does he coach a bad team?
I don't know. That only time will tell. And I think that this year, let's see what this team could do with a healthy Sam Darnold, with a good offensive line that's going to give him 3-4 seconds to throw the ball. If they could do that, they don't have a lot of playmakers. That's for sure. Le'Veon Bell, Denzel. I think Denzel Mims is a beast. I think he's going to be a great player. They need another big-time splash guy that's going to go out there and catch the ball. They don't have that guy.
Is he a Stephen Hill?
No,
do you think, CJ?
No,
he was a lot better of a prospect.
No.
I know, a great second-round pick.
Denzel Mims.
Throw a name out there really quick before I go here. Don't sleep on Lawrence Cager. Lawrence Cager will end up making this roster, and he's going to have some sort of an impact this season. Mark my words.
Mm-hmm. I will say this. Denzel Mims could turn out to be the best wide receiver in that draft, with arguably the best wide receiving draft we've seen in probably 25 years. So, and I do believe, and ask anybody, if you watch this show, anybody will tell you it was either Jerry Jeudy that I wanted or Denzel Mims. Those were the two guys that I wanted. And the fact that he moved down to get Denzel Mims. He still got the player that he wanted and got draft picks back for him. Yep. And he traded those picks. He traded that pick, that pick that he got from Seattle, to the Patriots for 2 4th rounds and a 6th round next year.
I remember saying at that time, Mims, you probably have to trade up back into the 1st round to get him, and the Jets did the opposite, and they got extra picks for it.
So
Yep, they did.
Joe Douglas did the right thing. I think Joe Douglas is the right guy for the position. Let's just see moving forward where he's going, where he's going to go with this team. I think Joe Douglas was the right pick. And I said it best 2 years ago when they brought in C.J. Mosley and Le'Veon Bell. 2, 3, 4 years down the road, people are going to say, well, who was the big guy that they brought in that offseason? And I've told everybody, the big guy that they brought in was Joe Douglas. That's it. Yeah. Not C.J. Mosley, not Le'Veon Bell, because both guys won't be there when they win a title. It will be Joe Douglas. I guarantee it. Thanks. Yep. Thanks, C.J.
Take care, C.J.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
CJ DeSimone from Weapons Hot. Great show, by the way. Love his show. Love his personality. And I love his animosity to his, he's got some good animosity to his team and to some teams in the NFL.
And by the way, speaking of Weapons Hot, they will be actually on tonight because they couldn't do their show yesterday because they had a power outage.
Oh, good.
So they will be on right after Wise Guys tonight.
Oh, that's great. Nice. I'm going to watch it. I love this show. So looking forward to that. Anyways, we're not going to a break. Let's get into the whole Tom Thibodeau thing. Now, everybody knows what I thought about it. I've been saying it since November of 2019. I wrote an article about it, that Tom Thibodeau will be the next New York Knicks head coach. There was reasons why I had it. I had him being the coach. First of all, he was the best coach available. And I don't care. You can say Kenny Atkinson. Me and Mikey fought about that. He said Kenny Atkinson was the best coach available. Kenny Atkinson was a head coach for 2 years. 2 years. Did he help the Nets go where they needed to go? Absolutely did. Now, Kenny Atkinson was fired after 2 years. This is the same Kenny Atkinson that everybody respected, everybody loved, and everybody was talking about being coach of the year with Sean Marks as the executive of the year. But again, we can go back and forth and argue our points about where this team where the Nets were going. They weren't going anywhere because they didn't have that superstar. They brought in Kyrie Irving. They brought in Kevin Durant. And Kyrie Irving absolutely pushed Kenny Atkinson away. I believe it was Kyrie Irving. The reason why Kenny Atkinson don't have his job anymore.
Outside of Brad Stevens, there's not been another franchise where he hasn't pushed out the coach.
And Jason Kidd, let me tell you something. As much as I like Jason Kidd as a player, Jason Kidd is not a head coach in the NBA. He's just not. I did not want Jason Kidd. And I know Eric wanted Jason Kidd. We and him argued on the Weekend Crunch. I did not want Jason Kidd. The guy that was available, the only guy. And everybody keeps saying Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson said it best on the Stephen A. Smith show. What's that show called?
First Take.
First Take. I don't even watch the show because I can't stand it. Him and Max Kellerman. He said it best. He said, the Knicks made the right choice. Now, I would have loved to coach the Knicks. That's my dream job. It's a lot of people's dream job to coach the New York Knicks because a lot of people believe they can fix the New York Knicks. It's going to take years to fix this organization and his team. Did they get it right with Tom Thibodeau? They absolutely did. Anybody that thinks that they didn't get it right, well, obviously don't know basketball.
Right. And look at the coaches they've had before that, too. These were all puppets or scrap heap coaches or assistants they hired from within. Kurt Rambis, Derek Fisher, anyone like that. They were scrap heap coaches. They hadn't had a coach with this big of a reputation in a long time either. And that's a big thing when it comes to this free agent era in terms of attracting them.
Well, I know Jeff is about to call the show, and I'm sure he's got his own opinion about the New York Jets and their organization. So why don't we put Jeff on the phone? Speedy, do you have him on? Jeff, what's going on, my friend?
How are you?
I haven't heard from you in a long time, buddy.
It's been a little while. I can't believe you think anyone could fix the New York Knicks.
First of all, I think that if there's anybody that can fix the New York Knicks, it would be Tom Thibodeau. Now, I don't know, when you look at the team at right now on paper, do I think they can win with this team? No, I don't. Do I think they have pieces you can build around? I think Mitchell Robinson could be a piece. I think RJ Barrett could be a piece. I think Frank Ntilikina looked like he got better this year. He looks like a good young player. He can play defense, and he's working on his offensive style of game, and he can pass the ball very, very well. I think they have pieces. Are they a championship competitive team? Dude, they're not going to be a championship competitive team for at least another 2 years. That at least through 2-3 years. They're going to have to rebuild through the draft. They have a lot of draft picks. They got, in the next 5 years, they have 7 first-round draft picks. And they have a lot of free agency money where they can spend it in all different ways. So, Jeff, I want to know your opinion to that.
Right, but listen, we've talked about this before. I like Kevin Knox. I think Kevin Knox is a nice piece. RJ Barrett's a nice piece. The big kid Robinson,
Mitchell Robinson.
I think he's a really nice piece. But it just comes down to this for me, right? And I don't, if you like Thibodeau, fine. You like Thibodeau.
It's James Dolan. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say James Dolan.
Dude, listen. The Knicks aren't going anywhere until they fix getting rid of James Dolan. Period. Hard stop. You're talking about free agency dollars. When was the last time the Knicks proved they could reel in a big free agent? Go ahead. I'll wait.
And you're absolutely right. Amari Stoudemire was good for 1 year. You're absolutely right. We don't know if they could bring in a big-time free agent. But here's the thing. They brought in Leon Rose, who is... This is a guy that's an agent. He has a good relationship with the league, good relationship with a lot of players in the league that he's actually been their agent. I believe that Leon Rose could bring in free agents. Now, the question is, knowing this, is Leon Rose in charge or is James Dolan in charge? If James Dolan is in charge, Leon Rose is going to get nobody. John Davidson took over the team for the New York Rangers, and you see, this is John Davidson's team. You see it. And the Rangers have been a good organization, a good team for the last 15 years. They haven't won any championships, but they've been a good team. They've been a good organization. And they're also owned by James Dolan. The question is right now, when you look at Tom Thibodeau and you look at the New York Knicks right now as a whole, could they reel in a good free agent to play with RJ Barrett? You're right. I don't know if they can, but I think if there's anybody that can do it in the way he coaches and the way he demands respect defensively, it's Tom Thibodeau. And Leon Rose, I don't know nothing about Leon Rose, but I do know, go look at all the top basketball players in the NBA and tell me who he hasn't been the agent for. Go tell me, because he has made them millions upon millions of dollars.
Right, but now he's on the other side of it, though, right? Like, he knows and the players know, no one's taking a GM job so they can still take care of players. There's still a salary cap that you have to be under and things like that. So it's not like he's just, going to just be doing players favors by giving them whatever they want. It's not happening.
No, and I agree with you. And the Knicks are not a hot spot, not a hot place to go anymore. You think of Madison Square Garden. Now people want to go over there and bust the Knicks up in Madison Square Garden. So we know that it's not a hot...
I feel as though...
Yep. Go ahead.
And I feel as though the more James Dolan has become a pariah, the Oakley thing, kicking fans out that scream, sell the team or, whatever. The more he's become a pariah, the more he's tried to insert himself as like the authoritarian in that organization. And I feel as though he's trying to prove that he can do it. And that's a bad recipe for success.
As you guys know, this is Jeff from Tampa, and I'm sorry to all the fans that this show wasn't 2 hours. We had some technical difficulties, but everything is up. So we have about 15 minutes left of the show. But Jeff, before we let you go, and I want to get off the New York Knicks because we got baseball to get into. What do you think of the New York Yankees right now? Aaron Judge, 5-game hitting streak, 6-game hitting streak for home runs. This guy is on a tear right now. I don't know if baseball is going to be around for the next 2 or 3 weeks if this COVID-19 starts to spread even worse than it has with the St. Louis Cardinals and the Miami Marlins. So what do you think about the Yankees and the way they're playing right now? And Aaron Judge has been on a tear. So is Giancarlo Stanton, by the way.
Yeah, listen, the Yankees can hit. That's not their problem. They can hit. But, like anything else, I don't really think the Yankees have faced any quality pitchers. Listen, the Red Sox pitching staff is just a bunch of AAA guys. I would seriously hope they can hit AAA guys, right? The Red Sox pitching staff stink. They haven't faced really a bunch of top-line guys yet, which they would in the playoffs against better
They did.
teams.
The Nationals. They did it with the Nationals.
And the thing that worries me for the Yankees is their pitching.
I'm not.
He was 3 innings last night.
I'm more worried about the Yankees' timely hitting in the later innings. That's what worries me about I don't think the pitching is going to be a problem. Garrett Cole's an ace. You could pitch him 2 games in a series of 7. You have James Paxton, who I think takes a little while to figure things out. Remember, he was out for a lot of the season last year because of injury. I think James Paxton, and by the way, Masahiro Tanaka is a great playoff pitcher. We've seen it year in and year out. So I don't think it's going to be the starting pitching that's going to worry me. I think it's their timely hitting. This has been a problem for the Yankees in the playoffs. And when it comes to timely hitting, the Yankees cannot hit in the clutch. They've had this problem for the last 6 years in the playoffs. And that's a huge problem for the Yankees moving forward.
Jeff, the other thing you got to look at, too, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I mean, I do give the Yankees a lot of credit, right? Because, certainly they look like one of the best teams in the AL East, and that's very surprising to me, considering they're probably doing it this year without any cheating.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, the other
excelling right now is a major bonus for them, right?
Well, I think right now with the Yankees are just trying to win games and get into that 16-game playoff team round robin and do and outplay all the bad teams. And what I don't understand with Rob Manfred, by the way, the worst. I couldn't believe to say this. I wouldn't ever say this. Rob Manfred is the worst commissioner in professional sports, even worse than Roger Goodell. This guy is a complete, utter moron, okay? This guy is a moron. How could you tell me that you put 16 teams in a playoff and the 2 number 1 teams can pick the teams they want to play against? Are you kidding me? What kind of sense is that? Are you kidding me? Come on, Jeff. How stupid could you be? If you're a sports fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great. It's not great.
He's an idiot.
I don't,
Jackass.
No, he definitely is. He 100% is. But the Yankees aren't even the team that really even intrigues me all that much, in New York. For me, it's the Mets.
Well, for all the wrong reasons.
So intriguing. Well, I always used to say the season never started for the Mets until someone got hurt, but now they're just up and quitting on the Mets.
By the way, speaking of the New York Mets, and I know a lot of Met fans are having heart attacks right now because their bullpen has been absolutely horrendous, where they reconstructed their bullpen, adding Dellin Betances. By the way, I told all you Met fans that I just didn't think that Dellin Betances would fit with the New York. I think they overpaid Dellin Betances, $13 million. I think Dellin is on his wit's end as a big-time 8th-inning guy. I think he's one of the best 8th-inning guys we've seen in the last 7 or 8 years. He will, if he continues doing this on the Mets, he's a borderline Hall of Famer. Go look at his numbers. His numbers will show you that he's a borderline Hall of Famer.
I thought with the baseball writers, he's not going to get in, though.
No, absolutely. But we'll see. The younger the baseball writers, maybe there's an opportunity in the future. But Dellin Betances has been one of the best bullpen arms in baseball for the last 8 years.
He's definitely the best non-closer, for sure.
But to me, when you look at the New York Mets right now, not only this, how about Yoenis Cespedes opting out of the season? Yoenis Cespedes, Mr. Moneybags, that's trying to expecting a big contract after the season. How could you walk out of this team and this organization when this organization's been waiting for you to step up and do the things that they expected you to do after they gave you $100 and some odd million and you were the highest paid right-handed power hitter in baseball? What kind of disrespect could you give the New York Mets and that fan base and that organization when you have your own freaking damn Mets song when you come up to the plate, you dumbass? A complete retard, okay? I don't use that word on national radio. He is a retard, okay? I can't stand Yoenis Cespedes, and I hope no team signs him after this year. The guy's a joke.
I heard he quit the Mets because he found out Beeve was a fan.
No, maybe that too. But, and I don't like using those derogatory words because I keep it straight and I keep it 100 to fans. And I know a lot of people think I say the truth. And to me, Yoenis Cespedes is a joke. Brody Van Wagenen is a joke.
Oh, boy.
He is an absolute joke. He sits back and he says whatever he wants. Go ahead.
If you want to bring it full circle on the conversation you were kind of having on the Knicks, well, there's an example of an agent running a team that it's not working out for. He did a lot of things for guys, and this is what
I'm sure he's done a lot of things for guys, but it's not the things that we're thinking about. It'd be other things.
On sports.
Why don't we ask the coupons? That's why he probably got the GM job. Maybe he got on his hands and knees and did something. Who knows what Brody Van Wagenen did? Because the fact that he got that job is a complete, utter mess for the New York Mets.
It's so
and
typical.
they're going to have to try to figure something out when they bring in Cohen. Because if Cohen comes in and he takes over, and we don't know what's going on with that. We heard so many things about this group of people were going to buy the team, this group of people, that group of people, and the Cohen group of people. We've heard so many things about the New York Mets, and nothing has happened. Nothing. So what are we waiting for here? What is the Met fans waiting for? Here's what the Met fans are waiting for. They're waiting for this team to completely bomb. So I call him Jody Bandwagon because he is a little girl. The guy, Jody, sits there and he says whatever he wants. He's on national radio all the time on WFAN, making excuses after excuses after excuses with Joe Beningo and Evan Roberts. Here's my excuse. When you sit back and you keep talking about J.D. Davis and the Panda or whoever you want to talk about or the Polar Bear, whatever you want to call them, okay? This team has done nothing so far in almost 8 games. 8 games. What are you going to do when this team next year is expecting an 162-game season to win ball games with the same coupons running the organization? What are they going to do? Answer that question, Jeff. What are they going to do? The Red Sox have a right. The Red Sox have a right. They brought in the right guy. The guy that the Red Sox brought in was the same guy that the Mets should have brought in when they interviewed him.
Well, we'll see how that works out. Who really knows if that's going to work out or not? As a Red Sox fan, I am a little fearful that we're just going to become, a higher budget version of the Rays, which is, really what this team is looking like right now, which disgusts me. But
the Rays need to that kind of philosophy, though. You need to reverse it with all the bad contracts they have right now, though.
And I know people are saying things on here. I thought you liked Brody. I never said I liked Brody. I never said I liked Brody.
I don't think so.
I never said I liked Brody Van Wagenen. I don't know where any. Josh, I never said I liked Brody Van Wagenen. I never did.
I think the Mets should just move out of New York, just move to Nashville or something, and be get out of the spotlight of New York. It's doing nothing for them right now.
No. Here's the spotlight. They need to get far, far away from the Wilpons as quick as possible. Because if they don't, they're never going to win. Now, you could say what you want about James Dolan. Here's what James Dolan does. He opens up his pockets. Say whatever you want about James Dolan. He opens up his purse. He's not afraid to spend money. Here's somebody that doesn't. The Wilpons. The Wilpons. They don't like opening up.
Is correct with James Dolan.
No, I knew you were going to say that. But the New York Mets right now, they're not playing well. Diaz has not looked good. I really think Diaz, he might not be able to pitch in New York. He might have to be traded. We've seen this before. We've seen this with the Yankees.
Tons of relief pitchers that have come to the Mets in the past. Same thing happened
with the Yankees. We see this with the Yankees all the time, too.
10 years ago with K-Rod, the same kind of thing. Saves record, great year for the Angels, one of the best closers in baseball. Comes to the Mets, he has one good year, and then he's nothing.
So we've seen this before. This is nothing new to us. We're not blinded to see. I don't know where the Mets are going. I don't think the Mets are a playoff team right now. I don't think the Mets are anything. And the fact that Yoenis Cespedes had the balls to say that he's going to opt out of his contract, he's still going to get paid, by the way. He can opt out for the season because of COVID-19 and still gets his $25 million. To me, it's a joke. An absolute joke.
And he deserves every penny of it.
Why is that?
If you're dumb enough to pay
that's true.
If you're dumb enough to pay Yoenis Cespedes, you deserve everything that you get.
You're absolutely right. You know what, Jeff? I'm going to agree with you on that. Because I think the Mets are right now an organization that are a laughingstock. They're even more of a laughingstock right now than the Knicks, than the Jets right now. They're a laughingstock.
Couldn't happen to a better fan base either. You hate to see it, don't you?
I know you don't like the Met fans. So.
Oh, dude. I mean, Mets fans, listen, Yankees fans are obnoxious, terrible people, but you want to know they can be that way because their team wins, right? And that's just the way it goes, right? The team wins. They weren't expected to be good. They did a rebuild a whole lot faster than people thought. They have some bragging right there. Mets fans, Jesus, these group of mouth breathers don't deserve anything in life.
Well, roses are red, violets are blue. Mets suck, and so do you. So there you go.
It's just terrible. Who in their right mind was like, let's pay Yoenis Cespedes over, $100 million or whatever he got?
Just as much as all the Seattle fans that think that Jamal Adams is worth $90 million, when they pay him, they're going to regret that. So I can't wait until I see that $95, $96 million, $60 million guaranteed to Jamal Adams. Joke.
The bottom line is most of those big contracts, the team does, that shells out the money does end up regrets, giving out that money.
Yep.
How many contracts, big contracts have people gotten where they go, wow, that was one of the best deals ever?
No, I agree with you.
It might happen with Patrick Mahomes. It might, right?
No.
Because he's certainly got the most promise. Well, he's certainly got the most promise out of everyone, right? But, name another big contract that really has worked out that people are like, wow, we gave him all this money and it was terrific.
Anybody that sees what Patrick Mahomes got.
Almost never happened.
You're right. And anybody that sees Patrick Mahomes, being that he's in the AFC, Patrick Mahomes is going to win multiple championships in Kansas City. Absolutely, when you look at the big picture. So it's on. We lowered your mic because you were itching yourself, okay? That's why we lowered your mic. That's why you're looking at your mic. Anyways, Jeff, thank you for calling, buddy.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. I'm happy to see Speedy's misery over his Mets. You just love to see it, don't you? It's just so perfect. that group of fans deserves everything they get. I really truly mean that.
Anyways, thank you, Jeff, for calling, man. I'll talk to you soon, my friend. Thank you for calling.
All right, guys. You still suck.
Jeff from Tampa. Anyways, before we go, we have about 3 minutes, okay? And I know we were going to get a market up. We were going to get you in to do market up. We'll get you on next week to do it. But I will tell you this. I want to know your full opinion of what's going on in sports in the next 3 minutes. Are you ready?
Sure.
You ready? You got to get your mic close. You got to talk. You ready?
Go.
All right. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what to make of what happened with the Mets this season. I didn't think they'd be very good anyway, but one thing they still can't do is beat Atlanta, and they've almost taken it to a different level. They've always been bad against Atlanta, but when Diaz gave up that home run to Ozuna, that seemed to just drive whatever momentum they have right off the cliff. And since then, Atlanta outscored them 14-1 on Sunday. Then they outscored them down 8-2. They came back to win, and then the Mets scored one run the last two games. And you know what the funny thing is they're 14 for 78 with runners in scoring position this year, but only 4 of those hits drove in runs. So they have not done anything right with getting people on base. They have the third highest batting average. It just shows you how little that means. And then if you look at hockey, I think the Rangers they're done. But I think they were doing well when COVID struck. They were getting a lot of good goal scoring. They were getting good goaltending. And they ran into a team that the Islanders ran into last year in the postseason. Carolina is very good. They know how to keep the puck from you. They know how to frustrate you offensively.
My Eastern Conference champions.
And they have made the Rangers look pretty bad. And I think it's still interesting to see. And I cannot watch Toronto lose enough. But I think if they lose in the first round, a team that has not won the Stanley Cup since 1967, they'll burn the city down. There won't be any more hockey playoffs.
Well, good riddance to John Tavares. That's all I'm going to say. Good riddance to him because he went to a team that only helped the New York Islanders move forward. And the Islanders have a very good chance of going through Florida and be a scary, scary team moving forward because they're built on defense.
Tavares, 1 goal, -9, last 7 playoff games.
Maybe because he's on Toronto.
Go
Because he
get
was
him.
good.
He's a real
He was
barn
good.
burner, right?
He was good. Yeah,
The Maple Leafs are a real barn burner up there.
I got enough said on barn burner. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll squat for barn burner. How's that sound? That's all I'm gonna say about that. But the Maple Leafs are a complete joke, and you see Matthews. Matthews wants out of that place, and Matthews will become a free agent in 2 or 3 years. He will he'll head back to his hometown in Phoenix. That's where he will go, and John Tavares will be sitting there lagging and doing nothing for the next 3 or 4 years, and him getting overpaid by the Maple Leafs and not winning anything. So that is mark it up, my friend.
One more note before you go. The guy from the Reds who was on the Indians last year threw the ball over to center field.
Trevor Bauer.
Trevor Bauer is having a great start to the season.
I love Trevor Bauer.
He'll
He'll be a Red Sox next year.
And he's outspoken, and he has this whole theory behind pitching with how he prepares himself, and it's really showing off for him. And so I'm very happy what he's doing, and I wish him that he continues to dominate like he has, because it'll change a lot of pitchers' theories and save a lot of pitchers' arm troubles.
No, I love Trevor Bauer, and Trevor Bauer will be a Boston Red Sox next year. You watch, unfortunately, and we'll have to see him all the time with the Yankees. But we got Garrett Cole, so yeah, you have one for the other. But we'll see what happens. But anyways,
and the notes of interest too every day on the Worldwide Sports Radio article website.
Oh, there you go. And by the way, guys, check out our apps. Go check out our articles. Mark's one of our writers. Danny Radical's our writers. All the kids, the interns that we have. Great stories, great writing. Watch our shows. Stay in touch with us. We will be back tomorrow, me, Speedy, Petey, talking sports on Down to the Wire, and we will be on time this time. Right, Speedy?
Oh, if we're not, something's wrong with me.
Well, there is something wrong with you.
I know, but
anyways,
there'll be more wrong with
yes. Up next, the Wise Guys here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.